What up, guys? Dr. Vic here, and I just want to take a quick moment and share with you. There's this hysteria that's been building in the last 5 days. It's amazing in the United States how we've seen this massive shift, and people kind of, I want to say overreacting, but there's a hysteria, there's a fear, and one of the things I wanted to share in this video is what are the things that this whole hysteria, this fear, this coronavirus, COVID-19, and all these things, what is it trying to show you in your life? What are the lessons you're missing? Are you getting caught up in the story? Are you getting caught up in the news? Are you getting caught up with the media is telling you and all these potential mandates and curfews and all these things? Or are you taking a moment to realize, okay, what can I do at this moment? What can I control? Right? And then what are the things I can do with what we have? So when you look at it, a lot of fear comes in because we are trained from a mindset side that we love control. We love to know. And the problem is life isn't like that. And we've gotten so disconnected from as a society from that, especially in the information era. I think it fueled this even more, that we missed the boat on what really matters. And that is, yeah, we're going into a state of uncertainty. Heck, my business every day, I have no idea if I'm going to be going to the office the next day or not, depending on if there is a mandate that says I can't go in. Do I worry about that? No, because then it's not fair to my patients for who I serve at the moment. And the ones who come in, I empower them as much as I can. I educate them as much as I can. I'm doing all that I can because guess what I can do, right? I can sit here and just be like, oh man, worry this and that, finances, business, whatnot. Or I can sit there and be like, okay, what can I do to empower my community, my tribe? And how can I share this information? Heck, if I don't have to be in the office, I'm going to do a whole different sort of things to really empower my community and help them level up and give them the information that they need so they can either choose to be in fear or they can choose to be empowered. Because if you go on the media, if you go on Facebook, depending on who you have as friends and what they say, you're going to probably be more in a state of fear, hysteria, and worry. I already know people that are locking down for 2 weeks and they're criticizing people who don't do it. And it's like, hey, that's one thing you can do. Which I'm not advocating not to do that. So please do not take that out of context whatsoever. It is a parameter to utilize. I really recommend, though, if you're under the weather, if you're not feeling well, yes, quarantine yourself. If you've been around someone that was sick, quarantine then. But when you look at it, what are you really following? That's what I really want you to go. Forget everything that's named and quarantines and all that. What are you really looking at? Is it fear, right? Or is it empowerment? Now, the only way you can figure this out is what your emotions are showing you. The only way you'll know is how you're reacting to it from an emotional standpoint. Your emotions are going to give you the truth of where you are. And when the emotions give you the truth of where you are, it tells you where your thoughts are. Because some people can be like, I'm doing great. Everything's fine. I'm doing wonderful. But deep down, you have fear. And all your actions are based off the fear, which is reactive, which you're going to make a lot of mistakes along the way. You're going to make choices that are not the best of your wise decisions. And you'll realize that later down the road because you're stuck in that state of fear. And the fear is what's going to perpetuate this to be even worse. And so I shared this in a post, but I want to share in the video too that, universal laws, the law of alignment, the law of vibrational frequencies, everything is a vibrational frequency. And every experience has its own coded vibrational frequency. In order to achieve or experience that frequency, you have to rise and align yourself to that frequency in order to experience it. It's like a radio tuner. When you tune the station, you want to listen to country here in Chicago, it's 99.5. Or if you want to hear some old beats back in the day, you're looking at 104.3, right? And so when you have to tune to that you have to align to that in order to get there. Now, if everybody is focusing on fear, hysteria, freaking out, creating these plans that, yeah, they could happen and they may happen, but guess what? You don't know. You don't know anything. Some people, I have a higher up that knows this. So do I. But what I found out information yesterday to what potentially may happen today is two different things. And so I'm like, it's great to know and prep as much as possible. But at the same token, at the end of the day, it's a daily thing. At the end of the day, where are you vibing at? Because if we have more people freaking out, more people focusing on the hysteria, right? Because guess what? These numbers are going to skyrocket. It's going to happen. because we're going to start testing more. And are those tests valid enough? I don't know. The research I've seen doesn't really make me feel good about them. I think it creates artificial highs to a certain degree. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research on that. But things that I've been seeing and what happened in China and the trends in China and the stats in China and when they had that big peak and what was going on, did they use them anymore? How did they change things? I'm recommending you to Google all that. I spent the time because it just doesn't make sense to me from a medical side, from all these different angles. And so I believe there's other things playing in the mix of this, and it's not the story, but that's just how I think, because when I see patterns that aren't lining up properly, that tells me there's something else to it. But forget all that. The thing I want you to remember is, where are you spending your energy? Are you empowering your family? Are you empowering yourself in this situations of what we're going to be potentially facing? What are you doing every single day? You know, some people are like, oh, I have to be home with my family. Well, let's make it a good time, right? How can you make that memorable? How can you make that memorable for yourself, your spouse, your kids, and so much more? How can you have fun with that? Get creative. Spend time with them. You know, some people have 2-3 weeks off. Soak it up with them. Focus your energy there instead of all the hysteria. You know, and it's one of those things where some people say, well, Doc, it's easy for you to say, well, I don't have the finances now. I don't have this. It's all going to work out. It always does. I've been there before. I've been down that road where things were not turning the corner and I had to make a choice. And it wasn't the choice I ever want to make. It took me 1 year to make that choice. But when I did it, it was amazing how a total shift happened. And then later down the road, I realized that's why I had to make that choice and I had to go down that route for a specific reason. Everything happens for the greatest good. It always does. I want you to just take a moment from this video and just take time to really look at and appreciate what you have. Take gratitude to what you have. You know, like Dr. Joe Dispenza said, the ones who have been meditating all these times and practicing and practicing and practicing, this is what we prepared for. Because like myself, I'm not overreacting at all. I don't worry about anything of this. I know it's all going to work out for the greater good. I see the spiritual side of it, which is really actually a blessing in a lot of ways. And I wrote a book on this called The Walk in the Dark. And for those who've read my book, they're actually appreciative. Like, Doc, you talked about this. You talked about the challenges in the dark times and how there's always a gift. If you haven't got my book, check it out. I highly recommend it. Is especially in these times. This is an amazing book to read. I've had people who've read my book who are going some very dark times in their life. And they said it was one of the books that helped me look and see things from a different perspective. And you gave me tools on how to make those changes. That's what A Walk in the Dark does. And it's the time is now to take a look at that. So if that interests you, there's a link below that you can go ahead and check it out. You get an autographed copy. As long as there's shipping still going on, you can get a copy for it. If not, I will throw a massive discount if they stop shipping, and I'll do a PDF file. And plus, my audiobook's coming out in the next 2 weeks, so it's going to be done and packaged and good to go. But enough of the commercial. At the end of the day, I want you to know that you're either choosing in fear, which that vibrational frequency is low, and what you focus on only creates more. So if you're worried about mandates, if you're worried about lack of food, if you're worrying about lack of this, and you get your mindset on scarcity, you're only going to create more scarcity for yourself. And the more people that think like you are going to create more of that for the world. So this is more of a conscious test for the mind than anything else, because we can stop this instantaneously if we all shift our perspective and we come from a state of love. We come from a state of understanding. And we understand that whatever's showing up in the realm, in our face, is never truth. It's always what's behind it. And so how you're reacting tells you how strong your mindset is, how much you can stay focused and really see things from a different perspective. And so this is a great time to really start to shift your perspective and look at what matters most. Gratitude, appreciation, take time with your family, have fun with your family and your friends. I know there's supposed to be social distancing and all these things and whatnot, but your interconnected family that lives in the household, make it memorable and fun. Make sure you get some things to prepare for yourselves, just in case. You never know. Don't go crazy like everyone else is. Just get what you need. But at the same token, focus on what matters most, which is your family, spending time with your loved ones. That's the most critical time. See this as a blessing. See the blessing and see beyond what it is that you want to see. Because if we can get more people to see the blessing behind us, and we can get more people to start shifting their focus away from fear into empowerment, right? What is it that I can do? How can I help build my immune system up? How can I start to build me up so that I'm the best version of me so I don't have to worry about this? Or it's going to be less of a risk for me, for my family, them to get it. And it's going to help give us more empowerment to thrive and enjoy more of our life. Again, there's no right or wrong with what I'm sharing, guys. You either live in fear or you live in empowerment. That's it. It's only one or two. And a lot of the masses are living in fear, and the uncertainty is freaking them out. But then you have the other side that's a very select few that's more from the empowerment side. We see a blessing, we understand, we know what this is, and we do what's coordinated the best of our ability to continue to move forward. Be very mindful at this time of where your mindset and where your focus goes. Be very mindful, because when you're in a state of fear, and I've done videos on this, I did a podcast on this. You can check out my podcast at The Mindful Experiment. It was the last episode I've done, 163. I talked about what fear does to the mind and how you get programmed and how it controls your behaviors and all these different things. If you can break that pattern, and if humanity can start to break this pattern and we can all come together, we can drastically change the course of how severe this can be, and we can totally shift it to a whole different perspective. You may not believe me, and that's fine, but this is quantum physics. This is universal laws that where we focus, wherever our energy and focus goes, because focus is where energy follows, that's what it creates more of. And so if we're focusing as a society on more fear, then that's what we're going to have. If we're focusing on a society of we need the government to help us, then we're going to have to, it's going to show up more and more. The key thing is you either live in a state of fear through this, or you live in a state of empowerment. At the end of the day, the choice is yours. I hope that, we will get through this and we will thrive, and we'll thrive higher than we ever have before, because the rules are very simple. You have to go into the dark to truly appreciate your light. And it's only through the darkest times that we really get to the point of really appreciating who we really are, but more importantly, understanding who we really are. And I don't mean that from a human perspective. I mean that from a soul perspective. And so once we can start to understand more of who we are, our light, the essence of who we are, then all of a sudden we can expand that onto the world, and we raise the vibration of ourselves and then also the world. And that's how critical. So have friends, do a prayer group, do a meditation group with everybody. I have some friends that are doing worldwide meditations and just meditating on the world of love, peace, and bliss. So it's these things that create movements, and it's more palpable than you can ever imagine. If you ever had a friend or somebody who was dying and they're on their deathbed, and a bunch of people came together as a prayer group and prayed, and they create a miracle, and somehow they come back alive, it wasn't just because their body came back. They had support from an energetic level. And this has been proven over and over. So focus on where you're paying your attention to, fear or empowerment, and make the choices from there of what you choose. Because the less fear we have, the less severe what we'll see. Any questions, please let me know. As always, I appreciate you guys. Until next time, keep rocking and rolling, and be safe for you and your family.